Hello there, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to this webinar with us from Third Light. This will be on how you can supercharge your creative projects and how you can use Project Sync to transform the way you work. So by the end of today, what will you understand? You'll understand how to edit master files and how they'll synchronize instantly with your teams. We'll also show you how you can create collections of files, sync those to your desktop, how people and teams can view, comment and approve files, Adobe files as well, in Chorus, and how to prepare different crops for your different social medias. So that's what we'll be talking about. I'm very happy to say today that we're joined by the Third Light product design team. So I've got Sam Phillips, our head of design, and Megan Rousselet, our product designer, with us.
Hello.
So they'll be taking you through the demonstration today. And in a second, I'll hand over to Sam, who will give you a quick explanation, Project Sync ahead of the demo. So Sam, on that note, I'm just going to pass on over to you. So bear with us a second, ladies and gentlemen. All yours, Sam.
Great, thank you. Great. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. I'm just going to give you a little introduction just to try and explain a few of the things that we're going to talk about today. Hopefully I'll be quite quick about this. So what we're going to be talking about is work in progress, and work in progress it's a slightly different concept to traditional DAM. The idea here is that you have, rather than storing files that you've finished, completed assets as you were, things like stock photos and so on, you actually will use the DAM as a place to store your work as you're editing it. So editing and saving, editing and saving. And at the same time, you'll be working with other team members to do this so that it becomes a communication tool, it becomes a way of sharing, and it becomes a place where you do work without having to do all of the backwards and forwards of, I don't know, back in the olden days, you'd actually put things on bikes, but these days there's a lot of going back and forwards, sending lots of emails back and forwards. So what does that mean? It means you've got files that still been editing. You might have assets that are made up of other assets. So things like InDesign files might contain a whole load of images. Videos might contain little clips and so on. Work in progress tends to have approval cycles. So one person works, another person approves, or it could be going back and forwards. It could be very collaborative. But in a lot of companies, somebody does the work and someone else comes in and goes, that work looks good, move on to the next stage. And of course, you need someone to communicate. Now, obviously, there's lots of places we communicate. We used to communicate in email. We're increasingly communicating in Slack. But in Chorus, if you've got comments module, what you find is it's really good to put the comments about the work you're doing right next to the work you're doing. Okay. Next thing I want to explain. What we're going to be doing here is showing you how we like to work and how we probably recommend people work. Don't have to work this way, but we think this works really well, which is that we have this concept of a project folder, and there's nothing special about this other than it's a folder where you put the files for your project, and it's a folder where you do the work. So we suggest that you have a folder, you put all of stuff that you need for that in that one folder, and only that stuff. And then you share that folder with the whole project team who are going to work on it. And by project team there, I mean not everybody in one department, but if it's a one small piece of work, you just say those people who are going to be working on that, we'll share it there, they'll do the work on it, and then at some point later you can then share it with everybody else. We always sync it because we've got Project Sync, and what we're going to be demoing here is how these kind of shared project folders work really well with Project Sync. So why would you do it? Well, they're ideal for these single project teams because you have, as I said, all the files for that one project in one place. You're only syncing the files, you're only looking at the files, you've only got to think about those files for that one project. So it ends up being a very simple to understand concept. It's very simple to secure, and by secure I mean only you working on it gets to look at it, and other people look at it once it's done. I don't know about you, but I don't like people look at my work before it's finished. And as I said before, everything is in one place. So with project folders, when it comes to doing permissions and so on, and deciding who can see things, we tend to say, keep it really simple. So only share with the people who need to work on it and people need to approve it. Don't start using complicated permissions. Just give everybody all permissions, because you're all going to be editing files, you're all going to be looking at them, they'll just get in your way. And again, don't add enormous amount of files to this project. Just use the ones, just get the ones you want to use. So we've got various ways you can do that. You can put things in collections. You can maybe make derivatives in Chorus and put them in, rather than say putting the whole stock library in when you might only want 3 files from it. I don't know if everybody knows what Project Sync is, so I thought I'll just give you a really quick rundown of what Project Sync is. Project Sync is an app you install on your Mac or your PC. It synchronizes a folder with Chorus. So you have a folder in your Chorus private space, and in the private space there's a folder that anything you put in it will automatically get synced down to your desktop PC. Anything you put in there will go the other way. So, and if you edit files directly in it, every edit will make it up into Chorus and will get backed up, and every revision will be kept. And it works incredibly well, we find, with things like Adobe Creative Cloud, works with Office, and so on. And as you'll see, that Chorus is able to preview all these files in high resolution. So it actually works out as an amazing tool for doing approvals, for doing reviews, and all that kind of stuff. We're focusing on Adobe Creative Cloud here because we're the design team, so we are a creative team. It does work with pretty much anything else. Obviously, the bigger the files get, the less well it works. What we're now going to show you is a slightly, well, I was going to say slightly contrived, but it's not really contrived. We're going to show you a full cycle of creating a small project. What we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate creating that tweet there in Twitter with the image and the text, using all of the things I've mentioned. So we'll be using the syncer, we'll be using Chorus, we'll be using comments and so on. In this scenario, Megan will be the designer, I'll be the social media manager, and I think Guy will make a brief cameo as a marketing manager to give us some text copy. And that's it. We'll start the demo, if that's all right, Megan.
Yeah, sure. I'll share my screen. Okay. So as Sam mentioned, the Project Sync is a special folder in my private space here in Chorus. I have the Project Sync app installed on my laptop as well. And it means that I have this Project Sync folder here synced on my desktop. So everything I will put in this Project Sync folder will show on my desktop as well. So let's pretend that we start working on this Twitter ad project. So to do it, I will create a folder in Chorus in the Project Sync folder, because I want to have it on my desktop, because I will be creating assets with the Adobe tool. And you can see here that the folder has been created on my desktop as well. Now, in Chorus, we have a feature called folder share, which allows you to share a folder with anyone with a Chorus account. So I know that for this project, Sam will be working with me, so I will add it to the project, and Guy as well. So I'm adding anyone involved in the project, and I do it just once at the beginning, which means that I don't need to use emails or retransfer every time I have a new version to show them. They will be able to access the files from here. And it saves me a lot of time, because you know that designers will create lots of revisions and version of files. So every time it's very time consuming to send the new version. So I've done that, and now I will use the comments feature in Chorus to mention the people involved in the project and say, hi everyone, I have shared the project folder with you, so that they know that something will come soon, will be added soon in this folder. So now, as you've seen on Sam's screen, we are creating a Twitter ad. And to create this ad, I need some assets, some specific assets like the project sync icon. I know that this icon is on is somewhere in Chorus already, so I will create a collection here, and I will find this project sync icon, which is in the design space here, and I will just drop this version because I think that this one looks great, and I will put it there in the collection, which means that I don't copy the files, I don't use more storage, but I just want to use it for my project, and it's showing here as well on my desktop within a few seconds, so I don't need to download, and I'm sure I always use the last version. So what I'm doing now is that I will create the ads on Photoshop. I could use other tools like Illustrator or Sketch, but I'm going to use Photoshop today to show you. So I'm creating the app. Okay, changing the size. Want to have this in white. Maybe, yeah, this one a bit bigger. Okay, and I want to now add the icon which I'm going to use here. A bit smaller. Yeah, okay. So now I'm happy with this version, and I will save this file in my Chorus Twitter ad folder, and I will call it Twitter artwork. And when I press save here, you will see that the syncer will start syncing. The project sync app will start syncing, and I will see the file. Yeah, you can see here, syncing, Twitter artwork, and it's showing here in Chorus. And it says that I have uploaded the file. So that if Sam or Guy access this folder, they will instantly see the file I've made. So you can see that it's a Photoshop file. I can preview it in Chorus, and maybe I want to make a change to it. So I don't want to have the blue background, but I want it to be, whoops, sorry, Photoshop crashed. I will actually reopen it from here. So I don't want it to be blue, but I want it to be red. So I will change the color and save again. And you will see that the change will also instantly reflect in Chorus. Boom. And all of those changes, so every time I hit save on Photoshop, we actually save. Okay, we actually save a version, a revision in Chorus, and you can see those revisions from the tab here. And if I want to revert back to an old version, I can quickly do it from here. I can activate the blue one again. But if I'll download an old version, and actually I want to use the red one, so I'll keep this one. Now I'm happy with this one, so I will just say, I will send a message to Sam. I have uploaded the image for the ad. Can you review, please? It's very quick. I don't need to send any email. I think that's it for me. Sam,
Cool.
do you want to?
Why don't we take it back then? I think you need to release before I can share my screen.
I'll give you the.
I'll give you the screen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Right. So now it comes back to me. And as you can see, while this has been going on, I've had this open and I've been seeing everything popping in. So what you're looking at here is my private folder, my project sync, and my Twitter ad folder. So it matches exactly. I can look in here. There it is. I don't have any Adobe tools. I haven't got a Creative Cloud account running. I may not even own one, and yet I can check this with a nice high-res preview, which, you know, apart from saving money, is very convenient. I can see all sorts of things about it as well. Even though this was created straight from Photoshop, I can see the dimensions in here. I also can see the full history. I can even see who did what. All very useful, especially if there's sudden change or something I'm not sure about. So it all looks great to me. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say thanks, Megan. Looks great, and it does. Oop. Let me don't want typos. Let's have a smiley. So next up, obviously, the idea is that I want to make a Twitter ad. So this is the wrong shape for a Twitter ad. So the next thing we need to do is I need to make that into a Twitter ad. Now that's really simple in Chorus because I can just open it up, go to this cropping tool here, and now I can crop it. And one of the great things is you can have presets. So if I look down here as a social media manager, I already have a whole load of pre-made sizes, and right at the bottom is the Twitter ad one, which I created. And there it is, boom. And if I want to, I can decide that I want to actually zoom in a bit, something like that. So I want to have a much more artistic version. I think I quite like it, sort of coming in off screen to say, oh, look, it's new. Next up, press this button and create a derivative. A derivative is a bit like a copy, but it's not a copy. So let me say in the Twitter ad, I will create a folder called crops, because maybe we have more later on, and select it. And it's created a derivative. Let's go and view that derivative. So now in Twitter ad crops, I now have a crop. Now this crop looks like it's a copy, or it looks like what we've done is we've taken the pixels and we've made a new file with it. But that's not how derivatives work in Chorus. What happens with derivatives is we save what's more like a recipe of how to make it, and we make it whenever it's needed. So we've made one right now because I need it right now, and we will keep these pixels for a bit. But if it's not used for a while, we'll just throw that away, and next time it's needed, we'll make a new one. This is obviously really useful because it means that we don't end up filling up your quota with all sorts of stuff that isn't being used anymore. It also allows us to say that your original is always the original, and we always know what the original is. And also has the amazing advantage that if you change the original, we can change these. And probably the best thing is that because we're not saving data, we don't charge you for data. So I've made my crop. It's looking good. So maybe next thing I need to do is just get on with it, start making this Twitter ad. So let me bring in Twitter. Here it is. And I'll tweet it. And if I look in here, everything is already synced. So I've already got everything else. And there's my Twitter artwork. So let's just pick it up and drop it in. Now, the advantage of this is that when I needed this file, it was just there on my desktop. I don't need any sort of special Twitter plugin. You don't go to the Chorus UI to do this. If you've got Project Sync, you just do the thing and it's there when you need it. And you can use exactly the same normal way of doing things in Twitter. So I can just drag and drop. Really convenient. Okay, so looking at this, I now realize I need the copy. So I need to know what text to put there. So let me go back to Chorus and back to the Twitter ad folder and say, hey guy, any chance you could send me the copy text for the ad? And hopefully I will drop us a file in there with the copy text. So what we're doing here is we're sort of simulating what would be a fairly common thing, I would have thought, in many companies, which is the person who makes the ad isn't necessarily the person who decides on the text in it. So what we've got here is a Word file. It's a Word doc, and it's got the copy in it. And because it's in a folder that's synced, it should also have immediately appeared here on my desktop, which means I can double click this and open it. There it is. So I can just go here, select this text, paste it in. Note again, no special plugins, nothing fancy. It's just using the kind of ways that people would normally work. Right. What I've noticed now is that this is the wrong logo. What we need actually is we need the new fancy logo. So I'm going to delete that, come back to here, say, hey, Megan, any chance you could pop the new logo? So one of the amazing things about derivatives is that if the original gets updated, the derivatives get updated. So what you're about to see here is Megan has dropped in the new logo into the collection. She's hopefully using it at the moment and editing this PSD. And then what we will hopefully see is we'll see this update and then this update.
I'm updating
How's
it.
Going? Or maybe just if we just go straight to the crop and see it do it live. It's my favorite thing in Chorus at the moment.
It's syncing.
Syncing. Hey, there we go. So now you can see we've got a slightly fancier logo with a little bit of shadow in it. Great. Okay, so I've now got this here, but that also means that it should be the one in my crop should sync, and it has. So we can now see my shadow on it. So I can just pick this up and drop it in. And we've got the right text, we've got the right logo. Tweet it. Excellent. Now what we normally do is to finish this process off is we like to go back to Chorus, go to this and label it as being on Twitter. So I'm going to put a little label on it, add a label. There's the Twitter icon, there it is. Save that. And now anybody comes to look at that knows that this is already live on Twitter. And that is our demo. Thank you very much. I guess I should just go in there and say thanks.
And what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to take back control of the screen for a second. And just we'll take a second here just to pause and see if there are any questions from anyone. But yeah, Sam and McGann, thank you very much for the demonstration there. And I think a really excellent example, you know, in the working situation we find ourselves in over the last year, where, you know, during the course of this webinar, the three of us in 3 different locations have been taking actions, you know, as we delivered this webinar to you. And you've seen, you know, how Project Sync, you know, actually enables that collaboration across the project and the team for real. So yes, we're really happy to have been able to bring this to you. Thanks again to Sam and McGann. And yeah, just wanted to check. I've got quick question, Sam. Bear with me 2 seconds just whilst I grab up. So what, just really the permissions, can we just go back to talking about the permissions for a second, please? So as in, you know, it's permission based, obviously, Chorus. You know, are there any must-have permissions? I mean, you said at the beginning around enabling all, and would that still be the case, or, you know, does it differentiate at all?
What I tend to say is I tend to recommend different permissions depending on what you're doing. So for content management, so traditional DAM work where you are essentially managing a library of images that get shared, and there's people have to ask permission to use them, people can view them, but they mustn't edit them, and they absolutely must not delete them. In those scenarios, you really want to use permissions. But if you're doing work in progress, like we were doing here, which is where lots of people are editing files, they're checking things, they're opening things, and they're syncing things, you need to give them at least the ability to download a file, because obviously syncing is downloading. So if I want to be able to put automatically get things to come to my PC, I need to be able to download it. So we just tend to say, and what Megan and I find when we're working together like this, is that we just give each other all permissions, because otherwise they just get in our way.
Sure, and I suppose, as you said again earlier on, that it's around the whole point of this and making the best use is to, you know, work on a current project with the, you know, the small team of people that you'll be working with directly on those files, rather than sharing, you know, across the entire organization, obviously.
I imagine there's some other, in a more real scenario, what would happen is once we finish the ad, everything's approved, the text has been approved, we'd probably then archive it in some way, or even take those ads and, you know, they might have been handed over to some other space. And in that space, I imagine that there would be other permissions on it. Some people will be able to view, some people will be able to use it. But yeah, for work in progress, I just don't bother with permissions because they'll only get in my way. I mean, they're very, very powerful, but in scenarios like this, they may be too powerful.
Good point. And I think, sorry, McGann.
No, I said I agree. Like when we use your work in progress, you don't want to be annoyed by permissions. You just want to get on with your work and being able to edit files, replace them.
Absolutely fair point. Getting things done is the key, really, isn't it? So really, I'm just conscious of time, but I think one question that does come up fairly often, if we could just review this one quickly, would be to, you know, a common question around Project Sync is you were demonstrating today, you know, with some Adobe files, but, you know, it's not limited to Adobe, right? You know, we could use other file types.
Absolutely not. It's just, they're just files. So if you can put the file in, you can get the file out again. Yeah, I think what other files we use it with, all sorts of things, really. We use, when we're building our UIs, we use Sketch. So we use Sketch in there a lot. Megan obviously uses InDesign. You use Illustrator as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Anything, to be honest, Word files, a lot. It just.
And what's great is that they are just files in your desktop, so you can also even use them. Like you don't need, like Sam said, you don't need a Twitter plugin or HubSpot or any other CMS plugin. You just have the files on your desktop, so you can just drop them here for your social media post and all marketing purpose or design. There is no limit, which is great. Yeah. When a plugin needs to be installed and maintained.
Yeah, I guess the only limit is your own bandwidth, because obviously the bigger the files get, the slower they are to sync. That's just, you know, that's just normal.
Sure. All right. Well, listen, guys. Again, thank you very much for your demo, because we've actually sort of getting to the end time-wise. So for everyone that's attended, if there are any follow-up questions, we'll come back to you via email. On screen, you can see the latest badges for our reviews from the G2 platform. So feel free to go and have a look there. And also, just wanted to say thank you very much for your time again today, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sam again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. See you later.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.